10 Modern Stoicism Principles to Master the Art of Not Caring and Letting Go. Modern. A. 10 Timeless Stoic Principles to Master the Art of Letting Go. Stoicism offers invaluable wisdom for mastering the art of letting go, teaching us to focus on what we can control and release the rest. By embracing these 10 timeless principles, we can cultivate a life of inner peace, growth, and resilience in the face of life's challenges. Welcome to Stoic Secrets, where ancient wisdom meets modern life. Feeling overwhelmed, stressed about things you can't control? That's exactly why you're here. Modern Stoicism isn't about not caring, it's about caring smartly. Ready to reclaim your peace? Let's dive in. 1. Control what's within, release what's without. You wake up confident, ready for an important presentation you've spent weeks preparing. Your slides are perfect, your speech rehearsed to the last detail. But as you begin, the projector glitches. Your heart races, frustration creeps in, and that little voice whispers, "Why me?" Now pause. What if the problem isn't the faulty projector but your reaction to it? Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Life is unpredictable. No matter how well we plan, things will go wrong. But here's the key. While you can't control what happens, you can always control how you respond. Take Alex, who faced the same situation. His slides froze mid-presentation. Instead of panicking, he smiled and said, "Looks like technology has its own plans. Luckily, my story doesn't need slides." His confidence impressed the audience even more. This is Stoicism, not about ignoring emotions, but mastering them. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Often, it's not the event itself, but our interpretation that causes distress. Think about the last time something minor ruined your day. Was it really the event, or how you reacted to it? Consider Sarah, who trained for a marathon but fell ill the night before. She could have given up, but instead she showed up, ran at her own pace, and finished the race. Her pride didn't come from her time, but her resilience. Life is full of unexpected hurdles. The real question isn't if they'll happen, but how you'll respond when they do. Will you crumble, or will you rise? Another example, David, an entrepreneur, lost a major investor just before launching his startup. He was devastated, but didn't let it define him. He adapted, sought new investors, and eventually succeeded. His story isn't about avoiding failure, but facing it with courage. That's what resilience is. Not avoiding setbacks, but learning from them. So, next time life doesn't go as planned, ask yourself, is this situation upsetting me, or is it my thoughts about it? What can I control right now? Stoicism teaches that real strength isn't in controlling the world, but in controlling your mind. Life will test you, but your response is your power. Choose calm, choose resilience, and remember, you are not defined by what happens to you, but by how you respond. 2. Embrace the present moment. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Do not let the future disturb you, for you will arrive there if you nurture your present." This timeless wisdom hits even harder in the 21st century, a world buzzing with endless notifications, deadlines, and distractions. We live in an age where our minds race faster than our Wi-Fi, constantly pulled between what's next and what's already gone. But have you ever paused to ask yourself, how often am I truly present? Think about those walks in the park where your feet moved, but your mind was tangled in tomorrow's to-do list, or those family dinners where you nodded along while your thoughts replayed past mistakes. The Stoics knew that the true essence of life isn't found in the regrets of yesterday or the anxieties of tomorrow. It's here, right now. Being present isn't just about noticing what's around you. It's about immersing yourself fully in the moment. It's feeling the warmth of your coffee cup, hearing the laughter in a conversation, and savoring the taste of your favorite meal without scrolling through your phone. Life isn't lived in the what-ifs or what-could-have-beens. It's lived in the small, seemingly ordinary moments that, when woven together, create the tapestry of our existence. Imagine how much richer your experiences could be if you weren't constantly distracted by the noise of the past or the pressure of the future. What if, instead of chasing happiness like it's somewhere out there, you realized it's already here, hidden in plain sight? The Stoics challenge us to stop postponing life, to let go of the illusions we can control what's gone or predict what's ahead. So, ask yourself, what part of today have you overlooked? What beauty have you missed while your mind was elsewhere? The present moment is all we truly own, and learning to embrace it isn't just a practice, it's the art of truly living. 3. Accept change as nature's course. The universe is change, our life is what our thoughts make it. Marcus Aurelius. Change is the only constant in life, yet it's the very thing we often resist the most. Think about it. Seasons shift effortlessly without hesitation. Winter's cold retreats to make way for spring's warmth, and summer eventually yields to the crisp air of autumn. Nature embraces change without fear, without holding on, because it understands something we often forget. Change is not an interruption. It's the very rhythm of life itself. But when life throws us a curveball, a sudden job loss, the end of a relationship, a health scare, we tighten our grip on what was, as if clinging to the past could somehow stop time. It's natural to feel unsettled, even afraid, when the familiar slips away. Yet, as Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. The Stoics didn't teach us to be indifferent to life's upheavals. They showed us how to meet them with grace, to stand firm like a rock in the crashing waves, unshaken by the tide. Change isn't the enemy, it's the sculptor, shaping us into who we are meant to become. Consider your own life for a moment. Every significant growth, every lesson learned likely came from a period of change, didn't it? A job that challenged you, a loss that taught resilience, a move that broadened your perspective. Seneca once wrote, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." What feels like an ending today may very well be the start of something richer, something you couldn't have envisioned had life stayed the same. Fighting change is like trying to hold back the tide with your bare hands, exhausting and ultimately futile. But when you shift your perspective, when you stop seeing change as a threat and start seeing it as part of life's natural flow, you find a quiet strength within. It doesn't mean you won't feel discomfort or sadness. That's part of being human. But you'll also find freedom, because you'll no longer be bound by the illusion that life should remain unchanged. Like Rome, you are a masterpiece in progress, and every twist, every detour adds depth and color to your story. The next time life pulls you in an unexpected direction, take a breath and remind yourself, this isn't the end. It's just another brushstroke on the canvas of your life. Thank you for spending time with us today. Before we move on to the next topic, I want to express my deep gratitude for your presence. Maybe you have faced major changes in your life, or you have valuable lessons about how to adapt. I would love for you to share your thoughts in the comments below. How do you accept changes in life and see them as a natural part of growing up? Or simply, you can share your favorite quote about change. These small comments are not only a way for you to participate, but also motivate us to create content that is truly relatable and meaningful. Now let's dive deeper into the next truth. 4. Detach from external validation. Have you ever caught yourself refreshing your phone, waiting to see how many likes your latest post gets, or felt that sting of disappointment when it didn't get the attention you'd hoped for? Maybe it wasn't a post. Maybe it was a project at work that went unnoticed, a comment you made in a meeting that didn't get the reaction you expected, or even a simple gesture of kindness that no one acknowledged. It's fascinating, isn't it? How small moments like these can quietly chip away at our sense of self-worth. In today's world, validation is packaged into tiny icons: hearts, thumbs up, follower counts, and without even realizing it, we become hooked, as if our value depends on the approval of others. But Stoicism offers us a different lens, a timeless perspective that cuts through the noise. Epictetus didn't live in the age of social media, yet his words resonate more than ever. Why? Because the core of human anxiety hasn't changed. We fear judgment, we crave recognition, and we worry about how we're perceived. But here's the thing: your worth is not up for public voting. Let me share a story that might hit close to home. A friend of mine, Sarah, poured her heart into launching an online business. She crafted every detail, believing in her vision. But when she finally launched, the reception was quieter than she'd hoped. No viral buzz, no flood of customers, just a slow trickle of interest. She was crushed, not because her idea lacked value, but because she had tied her self-worth to external reactions. She felt invisible, questioning if she was good enough. But over time, Sarah shifted her focus. She stopped checking analytics obsessively and started reconnecting with why she began in the first place: her passion for her craft, not the applause it might bring. That's when everything changed. Her work became more authentic, her confidence grew, and ironically, her business flourished, not because she chased validation, but because she let go of needing it. Now think about your own life. How often do you let the opinions of others, even strangers, define your sense of self? Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but we care more about their opinion than our own." Isn't that the paradox? We're so quick to hand over our peace of mind to people who may not even truly know us. But what if you could reclaim that power? What if your self-esteem was rooted not in fleeting recognition, but in the quiet, unwavering knowledge of your own values and character? Detachment from external validation doesn't mean you stop caring about feedback or connection. It means you stop letting it control you. It's about shifting the center of gravity back to yourself. You become your own compass, guided by integrity, not applause. The next time you feel that pull, that urge to seek approval, pause and ask yourself, am I doing this for me or for the reaction I hope to get? If the answer leans toward the latter, take a step back. Ground yourself in the things that matter: your actions, your intentions, your growth. These are the markers of a life well lived, not the fluctuating opinions of others. What's the takeaway here? Life becomes lighter, freer, when you stop outsourcing your worth. You are not a sum of likes, comments, or external nods of approval. You are defined by how you show up when no one's watching, by the standards you hold for yourself, and by the quiet, steadfast belief in who you are. That's the essence of Stoicism, not indifference, but inner strength. So today, choose to be your own judge and jury, because the only validation that truly matters is the one that comes from within. 5. Recognize life's natural cycles. When we experience loss, whether it's something small like a favorite hoodie that's gone missing, a cherished memory that fades over time, or the heart-wrenching pain of losing someone we love, it feels like the world has paused, like something irreplaceable has been taken from us. But have you ever paused to consider that loss isn't a mistake or a cruel twist of fate? It's simply part of life's natural rhythm, as inevitable as the setting sun or the changing tides. Life moves in cycles, much like the seasons. Think about autumn. Trees shed their leaves, standing bare and exposed through the cold of winter. Yet, come spring, new life bursts forth, vibrant and full of promise. The loss of those leaves wasn't the end. It was part of a necessary cycle, making room for renewal. Stoicism teaches us to see life through this lens, to recognize that endings aren't just losses, they're transformations. They're not voids but transitions, leading us from one phase of existence to another. Have you ever looked back on something you once thought you couldn't live without, only to realize that its absence shaped you in ways you couldn't have predicted? That job you didn't get, that relationship that ended, that missed opportunity. They all felt like doors closing, but in time, didn't they lead you somewhere new, somewhere necessary? Seneca wisely said, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." We often cling so tightly to what was that we miss the beauty of what's unfolding right in front of us. It's not that the pain isn't real, it is. Grief, disappointment, heartache, they're all valid emotions. But Stoicism invites us to feel those emotions without becoming trapped by them. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" we can shift our perspective to, "What can this teach me?" It's a subtle change, but it's where resilience is born. Let me share a story. A friend of mine, Michael, lost his job unexpectedly after over a decade with the same company. It wasn't just a paycheck for him, it was his identity, his routine, his sense of purpose. At first, he spiraled into frustration and fear, questioning his worth. But as time passed, he began to explore passions he'd long ignored: writing, photography, even starting his own business. That loss, which felt like a dead end, became the very catalyst for a life he never would have dared to imagine otherwise. Michael's story isn't unique. Life has a way of stripping us bare, much like those autumn trees, but not to punish us, to prepare us for what comes next. So, how do we apply this in our own lives? How do we let go gracefully when loss feels unbearable? It starts with acceptance, not as passive resignation, but as active acknowledgement. We can honor what we've lost, while also making space for what's to come. We can grieve without being consumed, remembering that even the deepest pain is part of a cycle, not a permanent state. Ask yourself, what am I holding on to so tightly that it's keeping me from growing? And more importantly, what could I gain if I dared to let go? Stoicism doesn't promise a life without loss. That would be impossible. But it offers us tools to navigate it with grace, to see change not as an enemy, but as a companion on this journey. Every sunset makes way for a sunrise, not because the sun owes us anything, but because that's the natural order of things. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough. 6. Seek growth in adversity. Adversity is an inevitable part of life. Whether it's dealing with a tough boss, mounting bills, or a late metro, challenges are everywhere. Stoicism offers a radical shift in perspective. What if these struggles are not obstacles, but the very conditions required for growth? Seneca reminds us that just as muscles need resistance to grow stronger, our minds and character need challenges to develop resilience. You wouldn't expect to get fit without strain, and the same applies to the soul. Life's hardships are personal training sessions designed to build you up, not break you down. Consider the story of Thomas Edison, who faced countless failures before inventing the light bulb. When asked about his setbacks, he famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. This mindset, rooted in resilience, sees adversity not as a dead end, but as a detour to deeper understanding and eventual success. It's not about fame or fortune. It's about how we choose to respond when life doesn't go as planned. Have you ever looked back at a difficult time and realized it taught you something invaluable? Maybe it made you stronger, more patient, or more self-aware. That's growth in action. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This isn't just philosophical, it's a practical guide for living. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What is this here to teach me?" That difficult boss, they might be teaching patience or showing that you're capable of more than you thought. The overwhelming bills? Perhaps they're pushing you to re-evaluate your finances or discover creative solutions. The late metro. Maybe it's a chance to practice presence or reflect on what you usually overlook. Adversity's lessons aren't always grand. Sometimes growth is quiet, like a tree strengthening its roots during a storm. Over time, you'll notice you're standing taller, more grounded, unshaken by what once rattled you. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." You can't control every challenge, but you can control how you respond. You can choose to let adversity define you or refine you. Think about someone you admire, not for their success, but for their character. They likely grew not because life was easy, but because they faced hardship and didn't give up. They stumbled, but they got back up, stronger, wiser, more resilient. That strength is within you too, but it requires a shift in perspective, viewing adversity not as punishment, but as practice. Life isn't out to get you, it's out to grow you. In the end, adversity is unavoidable, but suffering over it is optional. The Stoics didn't just endure hardships, they embraced them as opportunities to practice their philosophy. Life isn't measured by how many times we fall, but by how many times we rise and who we become in the process. So, when life feels heavy, remember Seneca's wisdom. Difficulties aren't barriers, they're the training ground for the strongest, most resilient parts of you. 7. Cultivate inner riches. In today's world, success is often measured by followers, luxury cars, and Instagram-worthy vacations. It's easy to believe that happiness comes from what we own or show off. But if the Stoics were alive today, they'd likely shake their heads and say, "This isn't wealth." True wealth lives within. When life throws challenges your way, it's natural to ask, "Why me?" But what if you shifted that to, "What is this teaching me?" This simple change turns adversity into an opportunity for growth. The struggles we face aren't just obstacles to endure, they are lessons that shape who we are. Think about the last challenge you faced. Wasn't there a lesson hidden in the discomfort, a growth waiting to emerge from the struggle? Now let's consider what it really means to be rich, not in the material sense, but in the way that truly matters. As Seneca wisely said, craving more, whether it's money, recognition, or possessions, is what makes us feel poor, no matter how much we have. The excitement of a new purchase fades quickly. The shiny car, the designer bag, they all lose their novelty. But moments of connection, like a deep conversation with a friend or a laugh with family, leave lasting impressions on our hearts and minds. These are the things that truly shape us and make us feel full. The Stoics weren't against enjoying life's comforts, but they emphasized that we shouldn't be owned by them. It's not wrong to have nice things, but the danger is in letting them define your worth. If everything you owned disappeared tomorrow, would you still feel whole? Would you still recognize your value? That's the heart of cultivating inner riches, building a life rooted in who you are, not in what you possess. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." This is practical wisdom, not just philosophical fluff. When you stop chasing external validation and start nurturing inner peace, you experience a freedom that material things can't offer. Your sense of self becomes untethered from fleeting circumstances. Take the story of James, a successful executive who had everything: a big house, luxury cars, and a prestigious job. But despite outward success, he felt restless, constantly chasing the next thing. Then, during a company downsizing, he lost his job. The material comforts stayed, but without the recognition from his career, he felt lost. During this period of loss, he reflected on his life and began reconnecting with old friends, volunteering, and exploring forgotten hobbies. He realized that true wealth wasn't in his job or paycheck. It was in relationships, purpose, and authentic experiences. When he found work again, he approached life differently. His job was just one part of his identity, not the whole story. James didn't lose wealth when he lost his job. He discovered it. To cultivate inner richness, ask yourself, what truly fulfills me? Not what impresses others, but what brings you peace and purpose. It might be meaningful relationships, personal growth, or small moments of joy. Prioritize these things and practice daily gratitude, not just for achievements, but for the quiet gifts life offers. Contentment isn't something you find. It's something you build through perspective and presence. Ultimately, it's not our possessions but our experiences, connections, and growth that define us. The Stoics remind us that while we can't control the external world, we have power over our inner world. So, as you navigate life, ask yourself, are you nurturing what your soul needs, or just what the world applauds? True wealth lies in a calm mind, a full heart, and a life lived with intention. 8. Understand and accept fate. Life has a way of throwing curveballs when we least expect them. A sudden job loss, a health scare, a relationship that falls apart despite our best efforts. It's in these moments that the Stoic principle of understanding and accepting fate truly comes to life. The key idea is simple yet profound. There are things beyond your control, and fighting against them only adds to your suffering. Instead, accept them with grace. This isn't about passive resignation or giving up. It's about recognizing the limits of your influence and focusing your energy where it truly matters, on your response. Think about it. How much time do we waste trying to change things that are simply out of our hands? The weather, the economy, other people's opinions. We stress, we worry, we ruminate. But none of that changes the outcome. Marcus Aurelius put it clearly when he said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Let me share a story that illustrates this. A friend of mine, Laura, had planned her life meticulously. She had a clear career path, a long-term relationship, and everything seemed to be falling into place. But life had other plans. She lost her job due to company downsizing and, around the same time, her relationship ended unexpectedly. It felt like everything was crumbling. At first, she fought hard against the changes, blaming herself, trying to fix what was already out of her control. But the more she resisted, the more drained and defeated she felt. Eventually, she reached a turning point, not because her circumstances magically improved, but because she shifted her mindset. She stopped asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and started asking, "What can I learn from this?" That simple shift allowed her to let go of what she couldn't control and focus on what she could, rebuilding her confidence, exploring new career opportunities, and rediscovering her own identity beyond her job and relationship. Today, she'll tell you that losing both was the best thing that ever happened to her because it forced her to grow in ways she never would have otherwise. So, how does this apply to you? Think about a situation in your life right now that's causing you stress. Are you trying to control the uncontrollable? What would happen if you accepted the situation as it is, not with bitterness, but with grace? This doesn't mean you approve of it or that it's fair. It simply means you acknowledge reality and choose to respond rather than react. Epictetus said, "Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens." This is the essence of Stoicism, focusing on your thoughts, actions and attitudes, because these are the only things truly within your control. Acceptance doesn't mean apathy, it means clarity. It frees you from the exhausting cycle of resistance and opens up space for peace, even amidst chaos. When you accept what you cannot change, you reclaim your power, not over the situation, but over yourself. So, as you move through life's inevitable ups and downs, ask yourself, am I resisting reality, or am I meeting it with courage and wisdom? Because in the end, it's not fate that defines you, it's how you choose to face it. And that choice, that's entirely within your control. 9. Be of service to others. In a world that often glorifies individual success and personal achievements, it's easy to overlook a fundamental truth. Our lives are deeply interconnected. Stoicism teaches that personal growth isn't just about self-mastery or inner peace. It's also about how we contribute to the greater good. The idea of being of service to others isn't some lofty philosophical ideal. It's a practical, grounding principle that enriches both the giver and the receiver. Think about it. Have you ever helped someone without expecting anything in return, only to walk away feeling more fulfilled, more connected, even happier? That's because service is a two-way street. When we reach out to support others, we're not just offering a helping hand, we're reinforcing the very fabric of our own humanity. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What is not good for the hive is not good for the bee," reminding us that our well-being is tied to the well-being of those around us. This doesn't mean you have to start a charity or dedicate every spare minute to volunteering, though those are noble pursuits. Sometimes, the simplest acts carry the greatest weight: a kind word to a stranger, checking in on a friend, offering your time or skills without expecting recognition. Consider the story of Tom, a middle-aged man who felt lost after retiring from a demanding corporate job. The structure, the purpose, the sense of identity his career provided were suddenly gone, leaving him restless and disconnected. He stumbled upon a local community center looking for volunteers to mentor at-risk youth. At first, he doubted what he could offer, but as he got involved, something shifted. The more he mentored, the more he found clarity and purpose. He wasn't just teaching these kids, he was learning from them about resilience, hope, and the power of connection. What started as an attempt to give back became the very thing that enriched his own life. Tom didn't change the world, but he changed someone's world, and in doing so, transformed his own. So how can this apply to your life? Service isn't measured by scale, it's measured by sincerity. It's not about grand gestures, it's about showing up. Ask yourself, who could benefit from my time, my attention, my kindness today? It could be a neighbor struggling silently, a colleague feeling unseen, or even a stranger whose day you brighten with a small act of compassion. Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." In other words, live your values through actions, not just words. Being of service isn't an obligation, it's an opportunity, a chance to create ripples that extend far beyond what we can see. Moreover, in helping others, we often find healing for ourselves. Life's challenges can make us feel isolated, as if we're the only ones carrying heavy burdens. But when we reach out, we realize that struggle is universal, and so is the ability to ease it, even in small ways. This connection fosters not just community, but resilience. It reminds us that we're not alone, that we're part of something larger than ourselves. Seneca's wisdom echoes here. Our lives gain depth and meaning not in isolation, but through the bonds we build and the lives we touch. At the end of the day, success isn't just about how far you've climbed, it's also about who you've helped along the way. So as you move through your life, your routines, your relationships, your challenges, ask yourself not just, how can I thrive, but also, how can I help someone else thrive? Because in lifting others, we often find that we've lifted ourselves. 10. Reflect, review, and realign. In a world that moves at breakneck speed, where distractions are endless and life seems to demand our constant attention, finding stillness can feel nearly impossible. Yet, the paradox is this. Clarity comes not from doing more, but from pausing and reflecting. Regular reflection is like a mirror for the soul, helping you see beyond the surface of daily routines and distractions. It's not just about meditation or journaling, though those practices help. It's about creating space to check in with yourself. What am I feeling? Why did I react that way? Am I living in alignment with my values? Think of it like updating the software of your life. Just as your devices need regular updates to function optimally, your mind and spirit require the same care. Without reflection, we risk running on autopilot, repeating the same mistakes and missing life's lessons. Take Daniel's story. A man in his late 40s, successful by societal standards, with a thriving career and a beautiful home, yet beneath it all, he felt restless. Despite his achievements, he felt like he was living someone else's life. For years, he drowned that feeling in work and distractions, until burnout hit him hard. In his recovery, he made one simple but transformative choice. He paused to reflect. He began journaling his thoughts daily, and over time, he realized that he had been chasing external success to fill an inner void. Through reflection, Daniel found clarity and began designing a life that aligned with his true self. So, what about you? When was the last time you paused, not just to catch your breath, but to reflect deeply on your life? Are you constantly rushing from one task to the next, hoping clarity will appear, or do you carve out time to understand your thoughts and feelings? Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, journaled daily despite ruling an empire. If he could find time amidst chaos, what's stopping us? Reflection isn't about dwelling on the past or regret. It's about observing without judgment, learning without self-criticism, and celebrating growth, no matter how small. It's in those quiet moments that we recognize our victories, not just the big milestones, but the small ones too. The patience you showed, the truth you spoke, the day you pushed through despite the challenges. The essence of Stoicism isn't about suppressing emotions, but about building resilience, living with purpose, and embracing the present moment. Stoic principles remind us that while we can't control everything around us, we have power over how we respond. Adversity is not an enemy, but a teacher. Contentment doesn't lie in external success, but in inner peace, and wisdom is a continuous journey of growth. As you reflect on this, I invite you to pause, not just today, but regularly. Make reflection a habit, not an afterthought. Ask yourself, what did I learn today? Where did I grow? What can I do differently tomorrow? Even a few honest moments can shift your perspective. In understanding yourself, you don't just live, you thrive. And in those quiet moments of reflection, you find not just clarity, but the path to true peace and contentment. You are now halfway through the video. I congratulate you on your commitment to reflecting and improving every day. This is so appreciated, and I humbly ask that you leave a review, because it really helps my channel. If you don't know what to comment, just write, "Ready to reflect and adjust," to let me know you made it this far. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on more great content. Mastering these Stoic principles is a journey that requires practice and self-reflection. By incorporating them into your daily life, you'll find greater freedom, peace, and strength in letting go of what you cannot change. Book 5. Practical Applications of Stoicism in the Modern World. By embracing these Stoic principles, you'll unlock the power to transform your life step by step. Now, let's dive deeper into how to apply these teachings to real-life challenges in the next section. Stoicism isn't just an ancient philosophy, it's a powerful tool for navigating the complexities of modern life. These 5 practical applications show how Stoic principles can be applied to enhance your mental well-being and lead a more focused, balanced life. 1. The digital detox, mastering the art of disconnection. In today's world, where we are constantly connected to the digital realm, it's easy to lose touch with the present moment. Our devices demand attention, whether it's the constant pinging of notifications, social media updates, or emails that seem never-ending. We find ourselves scrolling aimlessly, even when we don't have a particular purpose. This continuous connectivity, while allowing us to stay informed and engaged, is also breeding a sense of anxiety, distraction, and burnout. Our brains weren't designed to handle this constant flow of information, and it takes a toll on our mental and emotional well-being. So, how do we combat this overwhelming flood of digital noise? The answer may lie in something deceptively simple: taking regular breaks from screens. By incorporating a digital detox into your daily routine, you can reclaim your mental space and create a healthier relationship with technology. This doesn't mean you need to completely disconnect from the digital world. Rather, it's about practicing mindful disconnection, intentionally stepping away from screens to cultivate inner peace, mindfulness, and balance. Think about it. When was the last time you had an uninterrupted moment to yourself, free from the pull of your phone or computer? Chances are it's been a while. Taking breaks from technology can have a profound impact on your well-being. It allows you to reconnect with your surroundings, engage fully with people around you, and experience life without the constant distractions of emails and social media. It's an opportunity to focus on what truly matters, whether that's spending time with family, taking a walk in nature, or simply enjoying a quiet moment of reflection. These moments of disconnection help reduce stress, improve focus, and give you the space to reflect on your thoughts and emotions without the interference of external stimuli. There's an empowering story about a successful entrepreneur who, despite his constant hustle and digital engagement, decided to take a week-long break from all screens. Initially, he felt the urge to check his phone, worried about missing important emails or updates. But as the days went by, he found himself more present in his daily activities. He noticed the beauty of his surroundings, had deeper conversations with his friends, and found his creativity flowing in ways it hadn't in months. By disconnecting, he was able to reconnect with himself and gain new perspectives on his work and life. Now, think about your own relationship with technology. How often do you find yourself glued to your screen, even when you know it's not serving you? What would happen if you allowed yourself the freedom to take a step back, even just for a few minutes, and give yourself the gift of silence? Would you feel more at ease, more focused, more present? The idea isn't to completely abandon technology. After all, it has its benefits, but rather to use it intentionally with awareness of how it impacts your mental state. Incorporating a digital detox into your routine doesn't require dramatic changes. Start small. Begin by setting specific times during the day when you'll disconnect from your devices. It could be during meals, an hour before bed, or first thing in the morning. Use this time to engage in activities that nurture your mind, body, and spirit, whether that's reading a book, meditating, exercising, or simply reflecting. Over time, you'll notice a shift. You'll feel more grounded, more present, and less overwhelmed by the constant demands of the digital world. In today's fast-paced, always connected world, the art of disconnection is a skill that can help us thrive, not just survive. By mastering the practice of taking intentional breaks from screens, we can reduce anxiety, reclaim our peace of mind, and improve our overall well-being. As you reflect on this, ask yourself, what would happen if you prioritized your peace over the pull of your devices? How would it change your perspective on life, your work, and your relationships? It's time to take control of your digital environment, and in doing so, regain the space and clarity needed to live a more fulfilling and balanced life. 2. The power of saying no, setting boundaries without guilt. One of the most empowering lessons you can learn in life is the power of saying no. I know it's not always easy. There's this subtle pressure that we feel, especially in a world that constantly demands more of our time, energy, and attention. We fear being judged or seen as unhelpful if we don't say yes to everything. But here's the thing. Protecting your time and energy is absolutely essential for your mental well-being, and learning to set boundaries is a skill that will change your life for the better. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." The same applies to your time. If you're constantly saying yes to every request and task, you're overloading yourself and sacrificing your own peace. Think about it. How many times have you said yes out of obligation or guilt, only to regret it later? How many times have you stretched yourself too thin, only to end up burned out and frustrated? It's common, but it doesn't have to be your reality. Saying no isn't about being selfish. It's about recognizing your limits and honoring your well-being. It's about understanding that your time is valuable and that in order to give your best to the things that truly matter, you have to protect it. You might be thinking, but what if I disappoint others? Well, here's something to consider. By saying yes to everything, you end up disappointing yourself. When you take on more than you can handle, you spread yourself too thin, and the quality of your work or the energy you bring to relationships starts to diminish. You cannot pour from an empty cup. This is where setting boundaries comes in. Clear, firm boundaries that allow you to prioritize what matters most without guilt. How much of your time and energy are being drained by things that aren't aligned with your goals or values? Maybe it's attending events you don't want to be at, taking on extra work when you're already swamped, or saying yes to requests that you know will only bring stress and frustration. What would your life look like if you started saying no to these things and saved that energy for things that truly align with your values and passions? Imagine how much more focused, present, and content you could feel by simply making space for what really matters. Here's the truth. It's okay to say no. You don't need to apologize for it. You don't need to justify it. In fact, it's a form of self-respect and self-care. The Stoics understood this well. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers and Roman emperors, often reflected on the importance of using his time wisely. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Your mind is your own, and your time is yours to manage." When you start saying no to things that don't serve you, you regain control over both. It's empowering. It might feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're used to saying yes to everything. But with practice, it becomes easier. Start small. You don't have to decline big things immediately. Maybe it's saying no to an extra meeting or skipping an event you don't feel like attending. Over time, you'll get better at recognizing where your energy should go and where it shouldn't. What would your life look like if you were more intentional with your time? What would happen if you stopped saying yes to everything and started protecting your peace? How much lighter would you feel knowing you're only giving your energy to the things that align with your true priorities? It's an ongoing journey, but each time you say no, you're choosing yourself. And that is one of the most powerful things you can do. So, go ahead. Start practicing the art of saying no. Let go of the guilt. Reclaim your time and watch how it transforms your life. You deserve that space. 3. The amor fati. Mindset. Loving what is. The amor fati mindset, meaning love of fate, is one of the most profound and empowering principles in Stoicism, and it offers a fresh perspective on how we approach life's challenges. It's about more than just accepting the circumstances life hands us. It's about embracing them wholeheartedly, without resistance, and seeing them as essential parts of our journey. We all encounter setbacks, whether it's a failed project, a difficult relationship, or an unexpected setback at work. And it's easy to view these moments as obstacles, something to avoid or overcome as quickly as possible. But what if, instead of pushing against these moments, we saw them for what they truly are, opportunities for growth, transformation, and wisdom? As Marcus Aurelius once said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This powerful quote reminds us that challenges aren't just roadblocks. They are the very experiences that shape our growth and give our lives depth. In modern life, we often find ourselves rushing to fix problems or wishing for things to go back to the way they were. But practicing amor fati asks us to stop resisting and start embracing what is, exactly as it is, knowing that every difficulty is part of the design of our journey. Think about how you respond to adversity in your own life. When things don't go according to plan, what's your immediate reaction? Do you push back, frustrated that things aren't going your way? Or do you stop and recognize that these moments might hold valuable lessons? Consider the story of an entrepreneur who started a business only to watch it fail spectacularly. For many, this would have been seen as the end of the road. But this individual embraced the amor fati mindset. Instead of viewing the failure as a devastating loss, they reframed it as a stepping stone, a necessary part of their personal growth. They learned valuable lessons about resilience, patience, and adaptability. This failure didn't define them. It became a key part of their journey toward future success. In a world that often prizes instant success and quick fixes, embracing setbacks as part of the natural flow of life allows us to grow stronger, wiser, and more at peace with our path. In a way, amor fati challenges us to change our relationship with suffering and hardship. It's not about resigning ourselves to a passive acceptance of life's difficulties, but rather about actively choosing to love them for the lessons they offer. Life's unexpected turns, whether it's a job loss, an illness, or even a personal disappointment, are often the very things that push us to reevaluate, change, and evolve. Rather than seeing these moments as failures or signs that something is wrong, we can start to see them as opportunities for transformation. As Nietzsche, who popularized the term amor fati, once said, "My formula for greatness in a human being is amor fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity." This deep acceptance is not about resignation, but about fully embracing life with all its complexities, knowing that each moment, whether joyful or painful, is part of our unique and invaluable experience. The key is in reframing setbacks and challenges, not as problems to be avoided, but as integral steps on our personal journeys. Next time you face an obstacle, try asking yourself, how is this experience shaping me? What is it teaching me? What wisdom can I gain from this moment? By shifting your mindset in this way, you begin to see every challenge not as a roadblock, but as a necessary part of your growth. It's about shifting from a mindset of resistance to one of acceptance, where you stop wishing things were different and start loving things exactly as they are, knowing they are shaping you into the person you are meant to become. Practicing amor fati in this way can bring an immense sense of peace and empowerment, knowing that nothing in life is wasted, not even the struggles. You start to see every experience, no matter how difficult, as part of the bigger picture, helping you move forward with greater clarity, resilience, and purpose. Have you faced the challenges that life brings and learned to love those hardships as part of your personal journey? Please share your story by commenting, "I love what I'm going through," below. Your experience can empower others to embrace and overcome challenges with strength and faith. 4. Managing emotional reactions. Managing your emotional reactions is one of the most powerful and transformative skills you can develop to lead a more balanced and fulfilling life. It's easy to let emotions take over, especially in challenging or stressful situations. Whether it's frustration, anger, anxiety, or even joy, emotions are natural, but they can quickly get the better of us if we don't practice control. We've all experienced those moments when, in the heat of the moment, we said or did something we later regretted. It's a common part of being human, but here's something that can truly change the way you navigate through those emotional storms. Your emotional reactions only last for about 90 seconds. That's right, just 90 seconds. After that initial surge of emotion, it is completely up to you whether you continue to hold on to it or let it go. Take a moment to think about the last time something triggered you emotionally. It could have been a comment from a colleague, a disagreement with a family member, or a stressful situation at work. In the first few seconds, your emotions can feel overwhelming. Your heart may race, your mind may start spinning with thoughts of what you want to say or do, and everything feels urgent. But here's the secret. If you can just pause for those 90 seconds, if you can give yourself that small window of time to allow the intensity of the emotion to pass, you will find that the urge to react immediately begins to fade. Once that rush of emotion begins to dissipate, you gain back the power to choose how to respond, rather than being swept away by a knee-jerk reaction driven by your feelings. A great way to understand this process is through a personal story. A few months ago, a close friend of mine was telling me about a difficult situation she experienced at work. She was in a meeting with her boss when he made a comment that struck her as unfair, something that felt disrespectful to her and her ideas. Immediately, she felt a rush of frustration. Her chest tightened, her heart began to race, and she could already feel the words she wanted to say forming in her mind, words that could have escalated the situation. But instead of blurting out a response, something she might have done in the past, she took a breath and paused. In that moment, she recalled the 90-second rule. She quietly counted in her head, gave herself those precious seconds to process the rush of emotions, and by the time those 90 seconds passed, she noticed something remarkable. Her frustration had already begun to settle. She was no longer ready to fire back. Instead, she could now approach the situation with a calmer, more thoughtful perspective. What happened next? Rather than turning the conversation into a heated argument, she spoke calmly and professionally, expressing her perspective in a clear and respectful manner. The conversation shifted from being a conflict to a constructive dialogue. In the end, her boss realized that he had unintentionally upset her and offered a genuine apology for the misunderstanding. That moment, though small, was a powerful reminder of the importance of not allowing emotional impulses to dictate our actions. It also showed her that managing her emotional responses could lead to more positive outcomes, not only for herself, but for her relationships and work dynamics. This story serves as an important reminder for all of us. How often do we find ourselves reacting impulsively to situations without taking a moment to think it through? Whether it's a rude email, a hurtful comment, or an unexpected stressful event, our immediate reactions often come from a place of emotional intensity. When that happens, we can feel out of control, as though the emotion is dictating our actions. But what if we gave ourselves those 90 seconds? What if, in that brief window of time, we paused, took a breath, and allowed the initial emotional surge to settle before responding? The simple practice of pausing gives us the power to regain control, think clearly, and choose our response, rather than being controlled by the emotion itself. It's important to note that taking a pause doesn't mean suppressing your emotions or pretending they don't exist. Emotions are a vital part of the human experience. They provide us with valuable insights into what we care about, what matters to us, and what we need to address in our lives. What this pause allows, however, is the space to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. It gives you time to reflect on whether your reaction aligns with your values and what kind of outcome you truly want from the situation. By taking that step back and allowing the emotional intensity to fade, you open the door to acting with greater wisdom and clarity. Think about the next time you encounter a situation that triggers a strong emotional reaction in you. Will you let your emotions take the reins, or will you pause just for 90 seconds and regain control over how you respond? It's a small shift, but it can have a profound impact on your life. Imagine how much more peaceful you would feel if you didn't react immediately to everything that triggered you. Think of how much more in control you would be, how much more balanced and composed your interactions with others could become. Not only would you protect your inner peace, but you'd also strengthen your relationships, improve your professional demeanor, and boost your overall well-being. This small but powerful change in how you manage your emotional reactions can make all the difference in the world. It might sound simple, but it's a practice that can radically transform how you move through life. With each passing day, the more you practice taking a pause, the easier it becomes to handle life's challenges with grace and wisdom. The beauty of this practice is that it's within your control and it's always available to you, no matter the situation. Next time you feel that emotional trigger, remember, you have the ability to control how you respond. 90 seconds is all it takes to make a shift. With practice, you'll find yourself acting with more intention, less reactivity, and more peace. What if you allowed yourself that space to breathe before reacting? What if, with each emotional challenge, you chose to rise above it, not letting it define your actions or dictate your peace? The change you seek is already within you. It just takes the courage to pause and choose a better path. 5. Minimalism as a Stoic practice. Less is truly more. Minimalism is more than just a trend or a lifestyle choice. It's a powerful Stoic practice that can help you live a more focused, peaceful, and purposeful life. The core idea behind minimalism is simple: less is more. By cutting through the noise of unnecessary possessions, distractions, and mental clutter, you create space for what truly matters. We live in a world that constantly bombards us with information, tasks, and material possessions that we often feel obligated to hold on to. But as the Stoics wisely taught, True contentment doesn't come from accumulating more, but from learning to let go of what isn't serving us. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." In other words, the more you simplify and declutter your life, whether physically or mentally, the clearer and calmer your mind becomes. Think about your own life for a moment. How many things do you own that no longer bring you joy, or how much mental space is occupied by worries and distractions that aren't really helping you? When you begin to simplify, you create room for clarity, for focused action, and for meaningful relationships. It's not about stripping away everything you enjoy, but about focusing on what adds value to your life and letting go of the rest. Imagine walking into a room that is cluttered with piles of old belongings, unopened bills, and unfinished projects. How does it make you feel? Stressed, overwhelmed, or distracted, right? That's the power of clutter. It creates mental and emotional weight. But now, picture a room that is clean, organized, and purposeful. It's peaceful, and you can think clearly. This is what minimalism brings into your life. It's not just about the physical space around you, but also about creating a mental environment where you can thrive. You see, decluttering isn't just about getting rid of things. It's about making conscious choices that align with your values and purpose. When you clear away distractions, whether it's unnecessary physical possessions or mental baggage, you free up space to focus on the things that truly matter. How often do you find yourself overwhelmed by too many choices or stuck in a cycle of overthinking? What if you could clear some of that away and create a calm, focused environment where you can be present and intentional in your actions? It's the essence of Stoicism, living simply and in alignment with what is important to you, not what society or external pressures say you should have. A modern story that illustrates this is about an entrepreneur who, after years of running a busy and chaotic business, decided to apply the principles of minimalism to his work and personal life. He started by decluttering his office, getting rid of unnecessary paperwork, and focusing only on the projects that truly aligned with his values. He also simplified his schedule, saying no to commitments that drained his energy. At first, it felt uncomfortable. He was used to being constantly busy. But over time, he found that his focus improved, his stress levels dropped, and his work became more intentional and fulfilling. His business grew, not by adding more, but by simplifying what was already there. This is the power of minimalism as a Stoic practice. It's not about doing more, it's about doing less, but doing it better. Now, think about how you can apply this practice of minimalism to your own life. What are the things, both physical and mental, that are cluttering your space and mind? What would it look like if you let go of just a few of those distractions, whether it's unnecessary possessions or lingering worries, and focused on what truly matters? By embracing minimalism, you give yourself the gift of clarity, of peace, and of deeper connection to what's truly important. It's a practice that can transform your life in ways you may not expect. How much simpler could your life be if you started letting go of things that don't add value? What would it feel like to create more space for the things that truly matter? Minimalism isn't about depriving yourself. It's about making room for the best parts of life, and that is one of the most powerful Stoic practices you can adopt. By embracing these Stoic practices, you can bring greater clarity and peace into your life. The modern world may be chaotic, but with Stoicism, you have the tools to thrive amidst it. As you continue on this journey, remember that the principles of Stoicism are timeless tools for mastering the art of letting go and living fully in the present. Let go of unnecessary burdens, simplify your life, and embrace each moment as an opportunity for growth. So, Are you ready to begin your own journey with Stoic wisdom? How will you apply these modern Stoic principles to your life today? Keep reflecting, keep growing, and let Stoic secrets guide you toward a more intentional, peaceful existence.